Moto2 European Championship returns to Aragon for round 4 of the 2025 season, with the title fight heating up. Set in the hills near Alcaniz, MotorLand Aragón is a rider's circuit. 5 kilometers, 17 turns and a mix of fast straights and technical sections. It provides a fitting backdrop for the ever-intensifying championship battle. Unai Oradre holds a 14-point lead, but Alberto Ferrandis is closing fast. The Valencian rider took a win here in 2024 and added another last time out at Magny-Core, where Alberto Surra claimed the other victory. Roberto Garcia was the other Aragon race winner here last year. Reminder of the fierce competition in this class. Can Ferrandis strike again, or will Oradre respond under pressure? Last time out in Magny-Core, race 1 got underway with the sun shining and Xabi Zuratuza on pole position. Though it was Alberto Ferrandis who did the early running out front ahead of the pole sitter, with Unai Oradre settling in to P3. Adrian Cruzes led a chasing pack in 5th, but saw his race come to an early end after crashing out in an incident with Harrison Voigt. In the fight at the front, Milan Pavelic had moved into 2nd place and made a play for the lead, getting the better of Ferrandis at the final corner chicane with a couple laps to go, though Ferrandis hit back and regained the lead at turn 1, and it proved pivotal as the red flag came out on the last lap. Ferrandis was victorious. Race 2 played out in the west, and Alberto Surra's stunning start laid the groundwork for a first victory of the season. The Italian built up a large lead over Oradre before the championship leader fell victim to the conditions. Facundo Yambias thrived, however, and the Uruguayan ran in 2nd to claim his maiden podium in the class, as the red flag signalled an early end to the race following Jonas Eisenkos's crash. After all that, Oradre's title advantage is down to 14 points over Ferrandis, with Surra and Zuratuza on the charge up the standings. Welcome to MotorLand Aragón for the Moto2 European Championship Race 1. 26 degrees air temperature, 40 degrees on track, so baking Spanish sun setting the conditions for the event here. I am Chris Jordan. Welcome along. Joining me in the commentary booth is Connor Doherty. Connor, how much are you looking forward to this one?
I think this is going to be absolutely sensational. The competition in this class has been incredible so far this season, and with the front row that we're going to be treated to Alberto Surra, Xabi Zuratuza and Milan Pavelic, who has been absolutely incredible. A real surprise as well. And you mentioned there, Chris, that this is baking sun. Well, in Aragon, 26 degrees is not necessarily baking in the end of July, in the middle of summer. These are actually very favourable conditions to go racing here at MotorLand.
Perhaps, but for a couple of guys from, shall we say, the Atlantic Islands of the UK and Ireland, I think 26 degrees or 29 degrees is indeed a toasty afternoon.
It's a fantastic temperature as far as I'm concerned, and all of the fans who are out here as well will be enjoying it. They're there, you can see, just observing as grid preparations get underway ahead of this first Moto2 European Championship race gets underway. 14 laps for us to enjoy, and it's going to be absolutely incredible. We mentioned there Alberto Ferrandis in the introduction. He's really one to watch, but he's going to be starting from the 2nd row, P6. So it's going to be very interesting to see what he's capable of doing. We've had other race winners as well, starting from further back after disappointing qualifying sessions.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to see such a number of fans in attendance here today as well. We've been slightly taken aback, but it's a popular event here, the JuniorGP category. We've seen plenty of fans in the stands, and they've been treated to one excellent race. No spoilers here as of yet, as we can see the fans there. But they were treated to one excellent opening JuniorGP race, and I would suspect, Connor, given the way Moto2 has unfolded in 2025, that they may be in for another treat here. As you mentioned, Ferrandis, Oradre starting on the 2nd row, so it's a little bit of a mixed grid, you could say. So that often leads into a great race. So starting from pole position, though, is the number 67, Alberto Surra, the Andafer American racing rider, back on pole position. He's a Moto2 European Championship race winner already, a former Moto3 World Championship rider as well, a couple podiums this season, picked up victory in Magny-Core, starts on pole position today. Let's see how he took pole position and what he had to say afterwards.
very good feeling with my moto. Thanks my team, my teammate for the last lap, and it's very important one teammate come Sabi. Thanks my team, my family, my friend. I feel very confident for tomorrow.
Feeling very confident for tomorrow, says Alberto Surra, and he rightly should. A 151.3 in qualifying. Sees him start on pole position. Race winner in Magny-Core Race 2 last time out. A race winner in 2024 in the Moto2 European Championship as well. Podium finisher. He's a rider of enormous talent and potential in this class. We've seen him battle at the front quite a bit across his season and a half in the Moto2 European Championship. Maybe we haven't seen it as much as we did last year in 2025, but it looks like he's beginning to hit a rich vein of form. Is the number 67, shoots up to third in the standings.
Yeah, you'd have to say it's just a matter of time for Alberto Surra this season. He's showing what he's capable of. We've seen it over the course of his time in the Moto2 European Championship. A total of 13 podiums in this class, and those figures aren't coincidental. That's because he's tremendously talented. So we'll have to see what he's capable of doing here from pole. It's going to be a Andy for American Racing 1-2 to get us started. The 67 of Alberto Surra, and he's of course joined on the front row, starting from P2. Xabi Zurtuza, who's another tremendously talented rider. He was in the Moto3 World Championship last year, and his best result was a P8, and it came here in Aragon. So he's definitely one to watch as we prepare to get underway here at MotorLand.
Yeah, Zurtuza, full-time rider in the Moto3 World Championship in 2024. Steps back into the JuniorGP World Championship, albeit on Moto2 machinery for this campaign, and looks like it's been reaping some rewards. Double podium in Magny-Core. We didn't quite see the best of him in qualifying in Estoril, though he did charge through the pack. And he is with the Andafer American Racing team, which is such an exciting project, you would have to say, in the Moto2 class. There we saw Milan Pavlic. He starts on the outside of the front row, the Polish rider. You mentioned it, he's a rider who's probably taken us a little bit by surprise in 2025 by the progress and the step forward he has taken, stepping up from the Junior GP category, and that was all rewarded. All that progress and his bold leap of faith and the form he's shown has been rewarded. He made his World Championship debut in the Moto2 category in Brno as MotoGP World Championship returned to the Czech Republic for the first time in 5 years. But promising weekend on the World Championship stage. Didn't see the checkered flag after getting caught up in an incident with Eric Fernandez, unfortunately. However, you would have to say the pace he displayed showed he has lots of potential on the biggest stage of them all. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's no easy transition for these riders when they step up to Moto2 machinery, as you mentioned earlier. If anything, it's tremendously difficult, and the fact that we're seeing so many riders do it and do so successfully, making a quick transition, maybe a little slow at first, but then really sensationally delivering when it counts, and now to be fighting for championships at this level, well, it's absolutely incredible from them. We just saw Unai Aradri there, another rider with a sensational start to this campaign. He's really one to watch, starting from P5 this time around, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him in very early on leading. Alberto Fernandez, who we mentioned several times as well, starting from P6, 2 wins under his belt so far in this current campaign. An absolutely incredible rider, and one who I feel many eyes in the World Championship paddock are focusing on. Yeah, absolutely. And you may have noticed a change of team for Ferrandez last time out as well. He's now with the GV Yamaha Racing Squad. Doesn't seem to have halted his progress at all, doing P1 and P4 back in Magny-Core. Alberto Ferrandez, enormous talent, and as you say, many eyes on the rider. The reason behind the change is just some behind-the-scene changes in his own staff, I believe, and he has opted to leave the FIM Network XCI Mir Racing team and take up an opportunity with the GV Yamaha Racing. But he still has those FIM Network XCI Boscoscuro team leathers on the purple leathers, which makes for a little bit of a rarity to see.
Makes it more difficult to commentate, I'll tell you that.
Absolutely. So, Francesco Mongiardo, we just saw there as well. Mongiardo into his third Moto2 season. Brilliant start to the 2025 campaign for the Italian. Picked up pole position in Estoril and then a double podium. P2 in what was a bizarre race one back in Estoril. I think you'll remember, Connor, where both Ferrandez crashed out of the lead, Eric Fernandez crashed out of the lead.
Yep.
Milan Pavelic crashed out of the podium positions. It was one of those races that nobody wanted to win. But Francesco Mongiardo did pick up a double podium that weekend. Hasn't quite hit the heights since P10 in Jerez, meaning we didn't get to see the best of Mongiardo. P9 and P20 in Magny-Core. Magny-Core, you could almost write it off as a weekend in the sense of the conditions played havoc all across the field in every class, so you can't read too much into the results, you would have to say.
Here then we have the Moto2 European Championship grid for this round 4 race. It's Surra on pole, joined by Zurtuza and Pavelic on row 1. On row 2, Morosi, Oradre and Ferrandez. On row 3, Mongiardo, Tapia and Ludenia. A new figure, his first race here in the European Championship Moto2. Munoz, Voigt and Feyon on row 4. On row 5, Yambias, Ruiz and Gimbert. On row 6, Cruces, Moore and Volpi. Behind them on row 7, we've got Watley, Jimenez and Lolly. On row 8, Krisovan, Alkibaisi and Uriostegi. On row 9, Emmanuel, Eisenkolb and Kim. On row 10, it's Gutierrez and Palomera.
Yeah, just a couple of familiar faces. Good to see again in the class. Oscar Gutierrez picked up a rather serious looking injury that ruled him out for some time while he was competing in the Moto E class back in Le Mans. Thankfully he is back racing the number 99, but he is starting towards the back of the grid, having been disqualified from Q1. And just to touch as well on Marcus Ludenia, the Team Stylobike Yamaha rider. As you said, debut weekend, Connor, but having spoken to some people, he's come from the European Superbike, having spoken to some people in the paddock, they are tipping him to go on to big, big things. He looks a hugely talented rider. So keep an eye on the number 32 starting from P9.
Yeah, absolutely. He's actually riding for a Czech team in the Spanish Superbike Championship at the moment and got a double podium in Navarra in Spanish. So that's really quite impressive. And to just put it on P9 to get going in a championship of this caliber with this level of competition, well, it's going to be very interesting to see what he's able to do.
Yeah, an exciting rider, no doubt about it. Keep an eye on the number 32, but there are exciting riders stacked across this field. Particularly a little bit deeper on the grid, outside, just behind Marcus Ludenia at the head of the 4th row, Dani Munoz. Dani Munoz is a 3-time race winner in the Moto2 European Championship, a stock European champion from 2023, a regular on the Moto2 World Championship circuit, but we have not, I would say, we have not seen the best of Dani Munoz so far in 2025. Personally, I'm a big fan of him. I think he's an excellent rider, and those victories he took in Catalonia last season really shook up the championship, and then he went on to the Moto2 World Championship and put in some excellent performances. I, for one, was expecting a little bit more out of Munoz this season. I thought he'd be one of the lead contenders for the championship, but it just hasn't quite clicked for him so far in 2025. A rider it did click for, though, is starting at the head of the 5th row. He clicked for him in Magny-Core, Facundo Yambias, the Estrella Galicia 00 rider. A rookie in the class coming up from JuniorGP in 2024. He picked up his first podium in the West in Magny-Core. So we are almost ready to go then here in Aragon, the first of 2 Moto2 European Championship races from Central Spanish province. Almost time to get on the way. We still have the red flag just in front of the riders, but they are hunkered down. The visors are down, and we are ready to go. A lovely helmet on Milan Pavlic's head,
really
it has to be said. Floral design. So, time to go. Keep an eye on the number 67, Alberto Surra, left of your screens, on pole position, eyes on the lights, and away we go. It's a good start for Surra and Zuratutsa, and indeed Pavlic. It's a better start for Pavlic over Zuratutsa. Pavlic moves into 2nd position, but it is Surra who takes the whole shot. I saw Johan Gibber, the number 7, run it wildly wide, and he is down, started from 15th. We'll see where he ends up, because he took a drastic left line of lines out. Now, back towards the front, it's Surra over Zuratutsa, Pavlic. Morosi holds into 4th position, Oradre holds on to 5th, and in 6th position on our timing screens, it's Alberto Ferrandez on that GV Macro Banassi Moto2 machine.
Yeah, it's Pavlic who's now into the lead after a fantastic start. Look at him just leading those 2 Andifit America racing machines. He'll be thrilled with the way he's managed to get away from the grid now as we come down the reverse corkscrew. As we've seen, it's such a technical part of this track, and they're all doing it to precision there. But it's Pavlic who leads ahead of Surra and Zuratutsa for the time being.
Yeah, Surra having a little look up the inside there, but he's not quite close enough coming into turn 12 in front of the iconic Aragon wall to make a move. So Pavlic finally got himself onto the podium in Magny-Core. Last time we had the pleasure of commentating a Moto2 race was in Jerez, where he started on pole position and looked like he had charged towards a lead and opened up a bit of an advantage before a red flag came out, and he just never got going again and missed out on the podium. So he did make that Magny-Core appearance on the make that first appearance on a podium in Magny-Core. It looks like he's going for the victory here, but Alberto Surra is taking advantage of Pavlic, running it wide around the double left-hander 16-17. We've got a couple of riders out towards the back, 2 riders out, are the teammates as well of, we're not quite sure who it is. It's Harrison Vaught. Yeah, Harrison is gone at turn 15. So back out lead though. Alberto Surra is in the lead. Then is Pavlic over Xabi Zuratutsa. Alberto Ferrandez, though, causing a few problems for Zuratutsa. It looks like he wants to push by the number 85 as soon as possible and go with the front 2. Yeray Ruiz, the other rider gone. The MDR Competición rider, Yeray Ruiz and Harrison Vaught, both into the gravel and out of race 1 here.
Yeah, that'll be tremendously frustrating for both of them. As we see, I think those are the same riders. Just have another look at what happened. Whoa.
Separate incidents. Oh my word.
Yeah, big
separate incidents, and well done to the rest of the riders who have managed to avoid one of them on the ground, lying on the ground on track. So wow, this red flag, yeah, no surprise there. No. Red flag with one of the bikes in the middle of the circuit. That is no surprise. It looked like separate incidents there, Connor. Thankfully, both riders are okay, but safety is absolutely paramount here. And with one bike laying in the middle of the track, this is absolutely the correct decision to wave the red flag and give everyone an opportunity to reset and to clean up the mess that was made at turn 15, I think it was, where they went down. But thankfully, both riders walking away from the incident a little bit shaken, no doubt, because they were heavy crashes. Bizarre, because by the looks of things, when you were looking at the post-crash, it seemed they went down together, but we did see one bike was missing, as you can see there. One bike was missing, and we didn't know where it went, but it looked like separate high sides.
It did look like separate high sides. I don't know if maybe there was a bit of contact made between the 2 bikes there, but yeah, from that second replay, it did look like There were separate incidents that have caused this red flag to be called. And again, as you mentioned, the correct decision, safety, absolutely paramount. And I think we have to spare a word for the marshal waving that red flag on the grid with a fantastic tartan hat.
I'm afraid that one has escaped me, Connor. I didn't quite catch that. But
you don't focus on the details, Chris. That's the issue.
Undoubtedly, I'll be seeing it on your head in the weeks to come. Okay, so red flag here just after a lap and a half or so of the opening Moto2 race of the day. Alberto Surra was leading the running there with Milan Pavlic and Xabi Zuratuza in the top three. Alberto Fernandez also making his way through the pack. Not the best opening lap and a half, has to be said, for the championship leader, Unai Oradre. Oradre started on the second row in 5th position, but he had dropped to 8th and just fallen off the pace of the riders ahead of him. He was at the back of that lead group, shall we say, because then after the crash, there was a large gap between Oradre and Adrian Cruces. 3 seconds between Oradre in 8th and Cruces in 9th. But we will have a restart procedure here shortly, where the marshals will be cleaning up the circuit, and we will bring you... indeed we have it. A quick restart procedure. Pit lane will reopen for 60 seconds, but the time is yet to be confirmed, and it will be 9-lap race. So we will have a 9-lap restarted race here in Moto2, and riders will take up their original grid position.
Yeah, so that's going to be definitely working to the favour of some riders more than others. As you mentioned earlier, Unai Oradre will be starting from P5 once again after having dropped down to, I think, was it P8, P9? That he was
down
in before
to
that?
P8.
P8, before that red flag incident, as the marshals just clean up on track.
Yeah. You can see the mechanics and engineers working hard inside of Yeray Ruiz's box, the MDR box, trying to get him ready to go again. So the number 72, Yeray Ruiz, will we see him come back? They, of course, have 5 minutes to make it back to pit lane if they want to join the grid for the quick restart. And we do have an update. Pit lane will open at 12:15. There we go. Confirmation at the bottom of your screens. A quick restart procedure to come in the Moto2 Race 1 European Championship here in Aragon. Pit lane will be open at 12:15 for 60 seconds. 9 laps, restarted race with riders lining up on their original grid position. And as Connor says, that will play into the favour of some of the riders. You look at Yeray Ruiz, Harrison Vaught, of course, who were, not to say the culprits, but the 2 riders who went down that saw the red flag waved. They will be able to rejoin if they can get their bikes ready in time. Unai Oradre, another rider, we could say to benefit, he was running in 8th position. And now he will start from 5th. A little bit of frustration, perhaps, for the likes of Surra, Zuratuza and Pavlic, who had all gotten off the line well. They will go from the front row once again, but they were the leading trio. So we'll take a look now at what went wrong, I believe it is. There we go. High side
2 blue bikes
and high side. Ooh. Oh my word. Yeah, and we can see the trailing bike. Oh my word, that is a nasty, nasty crash. So separate high sides, and the trailing bike does indeed collide with Harrison Vaught, but brilliantly, thankfully, unharmed.
Yeah,
I believe it was Harrison Vaught who was on the ground and thankfully got up immediately to get off track. So the bike of Yeray Ruiz, I think, was the one that was on track, and that's what saw the red flag wave. So the right decision, of course, and a chance for everyone to just gather their thoughts, take a breath, and ready to go again. But we mentioned it a little bit just during the opening lap, Connor. Milan Pavlic was leading in that race, and we said the last time he was leading a race that we commentated on was back in Jerez, and that also saw a red flag come out, and he just didn't get off the line second time round how he would have liked, and just missed out on the podium. He did get a podium last time out, so that would have softened the blow, picking up P2 in the opening race in Magny-Core.
absolutely. You'd have to hope that the experience that he's gained after what happened in Jerez will allow him to try and get away again better this time around, because it's still a learning season. As well as Pavlic is performing, it's still his opening campaign at this level. He's doing sensationally, but he's still learning in every single race, at every single race start as well. So if he can get away again, well, I wouldn't be surprised to see him leading again.
Yeah, I think we're starting to run out of superlatives for Milan Pavlic so far in 2025, because for me, I would have to say maybe the surprise package of the Moto2 field this year. He has been absolutely brilliant, consistent contender at the front. Estoril, he picked up a P8 but was running in P3 before he unfortunately crashed out in mixed conditions. Then there was a couple of P4s in race 2 in Estoril, P4 in Jerez, P2 in Magny-Core, and another P8 in Magny-Core race 2. So he has been pretty consistently, he's seeing the checkered flag most crucially, picking up good points each time, but has been towards the business end of proceedings each round. So Pavlic, once again, towards the business end of proceedings here so far throughout the weekend. He's been towards the top of the timesheets, lining up third on the grid. So yeah, we're running out of the plaudits for the young Polish rider, who's really surprised both myself and Connor, I would say. If it's a surprise for him, I'm sure he would have said, no, I expected this. This is what I expected to do, the young Polish rookie, and he's already met his Moto2 World Championship debut. So bigger and better things to come, you would have to say, for Milan Pavlic, as we take a look at the race start again. And you see the number 7 out here, Connor, who takes the wild, wide left line there, Johan Gimber. I don't think it was very successful for him, but the front three then of Surra, Pavlic and Zuratutsa. Pavlic having good launch from the line to get ahead of Zuratutsa going into the opening corner.
Yeah, a lot of wheeling as well for Alberto Ferrandis, as he looked to get away as well as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Now they've already had one good practice run at it. They should be sharp and fresh and ready to go. But we still have, 2 minutes before pit lane opens. So the majority of teams, as you can see, just watching along, taking a look at the timing screen, seeing where they're all going to line up.
Absolutely, but it would have been just minutes ago so frantic in these boxes as the mechanics, as the team work on those machines, getting them back up to speed, back into the state they need to be in to perform at this incredibly competitive level. These machines in Moto2 are absolute beasts, incredible feats of engineering, and they need to be at their very best if they're going to be capable of competing here in Aragon.
Rightly said, absolute beast, but for me, the best sounding bike you can find on either the World Championship or European Championship stage. The Moto2 machines just have that lovely hum about them that they're very loud, but almost soothing, you could say, Connor, when you hear them on track, bombing it down a kilometre-long straight. Pure magic.
It sounds like you've been seduced by a Moto2 there.
I absolutely have, and why not? Why not?
If it's delivering racing of this caliber week in, week out, well, why not? Yeah, absolutely.
It has to be said, the Moto2 European Championship this year has been an absolutely spectacular watch. We've had the pleasure of commentating on the first 2 rounds. We weren't there in Magny-Core for mixed conditions racing, but by all accounts it was just as exciting. And well, the bar has been set very high this year. Absolutely. In Moto2, you would have to say. As I think that is Harrison Voigt's bike, which looks like Harrison will not be returning to the grid. As we mentioned already, some fellow Moto2 fans, Connor, who were sure delight in the sounds of the engine as much as we do up here in the commentary box. But we're almost ready to go again, and it's wonderful to see.
There it is, there's the sound. How's that making you feel, Chris?
Second cacophony of noise, an orchestra of engines. What's not to love? So we're almost ready to go again. 12:15, so the pit lane's going to open in about 5 seconds time. We'll just keep an eye on the riders. We are expecting everybody to return, with the exception of Harrison Voigt, because we think that was his bike we saw in the back of the trailer. the Australian, the number 29. We do not think will be back, but keep an eye out just to see if we can see the number 72. Yeray Ruiz, I think, is just about to peel out and will come out at the back. There he is, indeed, just at the back of the picture. The number 72 is indeed coming back. Thankfully, both riders relatively unharmed from what was actually quite a big incident. Separate high sides as they both came around turn 15, I think it was. And Harrison and Yeray both walking away from the incident.
That's the most important thing, of course.
Absolutely.
The work that the MDR competition team will have done on that bike will have been absolutely incredible. I mean, the pressure to get going. I mean, there was 7 minutes, I think, to get that bike back from where it was, back into the box, do everything that mechanically needs to be done to it, and get it out on track again. That is absolutely incredible. And look at all those fans there watching on. You've got a 54 there. I wonder if that's for Jesus Rios in the Junior GP class. I think I saw the Tricolor of Ireland there as well, Chris.
I did indeed, yes. I didn't want to bring it up though. Maybe for race 2 and Junior GP we'll mention it, but yeah, 54 could be Jesus Rios, could be for Fermin Aldeguer.
It could be about Alberto Ferrandis.
Alberto Ferrandis as well. I was going to mention Fermin Aldeguer, who of course has quite a storied history in this class, a champion.
Yeah, absolutely.
From a few years ago, but yeah, you would have to imagine it's probably Alberto Ferrandis.
Probably, yes. I remember seeing Fermin here last year as well. I think it was Jerez actually, but he's very much on top of proceedings here in Junior GP as well.
Yeah. He's a storied career, does Fermin Aldeguer, of course, now competing on the business end of MotoGP, but he's gone through Moto2 World Championship, Moto2 European Championship, the Moto E World Championship. He also had a spell on the stock 600s where he really cut his teeth, you would say. So, yeah.
I did try and convince him to come into the commentary box with us, but
how did that go?
He had other things to do, let's say.
I would love to have been a fly on the wall to hear what the line was to try and get him to come up.
Well, Fermin and I get on very well, thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll have to check in with Fermin on that.
Just confirmation.
Okay. Enough about Conor Doherty's contact list in the MotoGP grid. And back to the Moto2 European Championship, where the real business is today in Aragon. And I know scuffed leathers of Milan Pavlic, or just a design, maybe catching my eye out. So Alberto Surra, 30 seconds till we go. Alberto Surra starting on pole position. Once again, a reminder, it's the original grid positions. We'll go out for a warm-up lap shortly. And away we go on the warm-up lap. It is Alberto Surra who will launch from pole position, his original grid position, ahead of teammate, the Andafer American racing rider Xabi Zurituza, as Danny Munoz catches my eye. He's just dropping for some reason, and towards the back, maybe he just wants a little bit of space, a little bit of Motorland to himself to get some heat into the tires of his machine. So, Surra, Zurituza and Pavlic will be your front row. Alessandro Morosi, we haven't mentioned too much actually today, but another Junior GP graduate who's doing quite well in Moto2 European Championship. He starts from 4th, ahead of the championship leader Unai Oradre, and 2nd in the championship, Alberto Ferrandis.
Yeah, disappointing for both of those two riders in the previous proceedings in that race that was red flagged earlier on. So we'll see if they can get away better this time around and battle at the front, because as we mentioned, Unai Oradre had already dropped down to 8th as we'd had just 2 laps completed. So he'll be keen to protect his lead at the top. We're watching him now on that yellow machine, which is startlingly bright.
Is it yellow or is it green?
Somewhere between the two, I feel. It's citric. I'd say it's definitely citric.
It's a fiercely debated topic among some colleagues, namely Liam Hodgins, a colleague of ours who has commentated plenty on the Junior GP World Championship. Tries to convince me it's green.
Oh, you are in my camp here.
It's yellow.
Yeah, it's very fluorescent yellow, but for me it's yellow, yeah.
So, around we go, the final corner of the warm-up lap. Rider's going to peel up the front straight, take up their grid positions, and we will be ready to go once again for 9 laps of Moto2 fun. The first of 2 races, of course, here in MotorLand Aragón. So, we've got 28 out of the 29 riders who started the original lights out on the grid. Harrison Vaught will not be rejoining the grid after his crash. Yeray Ruiz, though, starting 14th, the number 72, has rejoined. So, ready to go again? Will we see Surra, Zuratuta and Pavlic make a perfect start again, or will we see someone charge from the second row? Eyes on the lights, the revs are rising, and away we go. Alberto Surra does indeed make a good start, but it is a carbon copy of the initial lights out as Pavlic fires into second position ahead of Xabi Zuratuta. A little bit further behind, we saw Alessandro Morosi sliding in. One of the riders is stood up there. But yeah, it's a carbon copy of what we saw on the original lights out. It's almost going to be an exact carbon copy, as it looked like Pavlic was going to make a move for the lead, which he did at the opening corners last time around. But Surra holds on this time. Number 19, Morosi, riding in 4th position. Dennis Ferrandez and Unai Oradre. So Ferrandez and Oradre have traded positions.
Yeah, Oradre didn't get well away once again. He is moving up there, but now Pavlic just seems to have come under attack there as we go down this reverse corkscrew. He's held off Morosi for the time being in this incredibly technical part of the track.
Yeah, very much is. Back out front though, the Anderfer boys are making a run for it. Surra has opened up a little bit of an advantage to Zuratuta. Zuratuta is going with them, but there's a couple bike lengths then to Pavlic, who's got Morosi and Alberto Ferrandez for company. Alberto Ferrandez will not hang around. We know that. He will be hungry to make inroads to the riders ahead of him. Alessandro Morosi.
Oh, but on the outside.
P4, is that Oradre?
It is Oradre.
And he's held on to the position somehow. Fair play to Oradre. It looks like for all the world he was going to lose the drive out of the corner. And Danny Munoz was there to pounce, but not this time. Oradre still holding on to 6th position.
And there goes Ferrandez on the inside. Is he going to make it stick? No,
I don't think he's quite close enough there.
No.
Coming around the final pair of left-handers, or the long sweeping left-hander at 16 and 17, leading on to the front straight. So, perfect opening lap from Alberto Surra, who has led from start to finish. Xabi Zuratuta is very close to him. He's regained 2nd position with Milan Pavlic in 3rd. It's as you were on the grid.
It's as you were on the grid for the time being, because this could change at any moment with a campaign as dramatic as the one we've seen this year in the Moto2 European Championship. There's going to be chopping and changing, you've got to say, with the likes of Pavlic desperate to maintain his current run of form, and the likes of Alberto Ferrandez and Unai Oradre trying to get onto that podium and protect their momentum.
Yeah, Xabi Zuratuta, is he going to have a little look up the inside there, coming into the 8-9, right to left downhill corkscrew? Not quite, but there's a couple more opportunities coming up. You'd have to say turn 12, the first opportunity to maybe get up onto the inside in front of the iconic Aragon wall, but it looks like he is going to go up the inside, but he is not close enough just yet. But you can see he's got the line for it. Maybe he's just lining up for a few laps to come. It's settled into an early pattern, this race. There's an early rhythm. Not a whole lot of chopping and changing as of yet among the top 6, 7. We said keep an eye on Marcus Ledenia as well. He's running in 8th position. Yeray Ruiz, brilliant start actually for the rider involved in that early red flag and crash and rejoined the grid. He's gone from 14th to 9th position. So excellent stuff from Yeray Ruiz. He had a good start first time round. Now is Xabi Zuratuta fancying this one? He absolutely is. Coming around turn 16, he dives up the inside. Will he be able to keep it pinned to the tighter apex? He does as well. Brilliant stuff from Zuratuta. And for the first time, Xabi Zuratuta is in the lead in Aragon. Milan Pavlic then is getting into the slipstream of Alberto Surra. Will he try something coming into the first corner? He's not going to be close enough just yet. Alberto Ferrandez, though, has taken 4th position off of Alessandro Morosi. Morosi indeed has been dropped to 6th position, as both Ferrandez and Oradre, your championship top 2, have moved up a position each.
Yeah, absolutely. As soon as we say that there's not been much chopping and changing so far. Immediately we start seeing it, and there goes Pavlic. He tries to steal P2, but on the cutback, it's Surra who manages to get back. And now Ferrandis is getting closer and closer and closer. This is really heating up in Aragon.
Yeah, now we've got a race on our hands, and Pavlic again has got the inside of Surra. He's going to try and bump him wide coming through the reverse corkscrew, but on the left-hander, Surra does have that inside line. But the cutback from Pavlic might just give him the advantage, coming through with a couple more left-handers here through 11 and into 12. But Surra has defended the place brilliantly, and this is opening up a chance for Alberto Ferrandis, who gladly takes this going through turn 12. And now it is race on. And it is race on for Alberto Ferrandis, who is hunting down Alberto Surra, has to be said here. Unai Oradre posted the fastest lap of the race last time around. He has got serious pace here, and now he is swarming all over the rear wheel of Milan Pavlic. And of course, Connor, what all this means is Xabi Zuratuta has opened up a 1 second advantage as the riders battle behind him.
Yeah, that's an absolutely incredible lead. If Zuratuta can employ the experience that he's got, he's going to try and make that count. He's going to try and protect that lead as much as possible. But this chopping, this changing is really so dramatic. And we've got anyone in this top 7 really in contention here. Danny Munoz as well, just at the back of this pack, just trying to find his way in as we go into turn 1.
Yeah, right. Ruiz is putting on an excellent ride here as well. He's up the number. He's up to 8th position as Pavlic is stood up, making contact with Unai Oradre. That could have been a disaster for both riders with championship ambitions. One is the championship leader, the other riding in 5th position. Pavlic in 5th in the championship, I should say, and he is 4th in the race here, ahead of Oradre in 5th. But ahead of him now, Alberto Surra has been overtaken by Alberto Ferrandis. Ferrandis is now going to try and reel in. Xabi Zuratuta has opened up a 1.5 second advantage. Now with Ferrandis running in 2nd, he has gotten through on the riders. Can he close that gap? We'll see how the times come in on the next lap. But Zuratuta, this is dreamland stuff for the young Spanish rider. As we see
that moment of contact there.
Unai Oradre trying it up the inside there and just bumping into Pavlic. Both of them still in contention, though. I don't think it's cost them too much time.
No, they're still very much part of this battle at the front of this incredible Moto2 European Championship race. We also saw Daniel Munoz there making his move on Morosi. He now is running in P6.
Yeah,
Oradre
running it wide there again, Oradre.
But maybe that's the line he's trying to take.
But he's gotten by Pavlic there, yeah. So the wider sweeping line seems to be working for Oradre, because he has gotten his way past Milan Pavlic, but Pavlic is just about to fight back here. Yeah, he's got the inside line, but he is not
a bit quicker on the brakes there than
Yeah.
Oradre, who really took advantage of that very late on the brakes from Oradre, showing why he's the leading rider in this 2025 competition.
Yeah, just a little bit of housekeeping to bring you. Number 99, Oscar Gutierrez, has crashed out. Rider okay, he's crashed out at turn 16, so some yellow flags in the 3rd sector.
Yeah, Xabi Zuratuta's lead as well, just on that Andifa American Racing machine, is growing and growing. It's 1.7 at the moment, and now we have confirmation of that Oscar Gutierrez crash.
Yeah, Zuratuta flying here in Aragon, isn't he, Connor? The number 85, double P3 in Magny-Core last time out, hasn't won in the Moto2 European Championship yet. He is, of course, a rookie with plenty of JuniorGP and Moto3 World Championship experience. And now there are 9/10 of a second being lost by Zuratuta. Is that correct? Let's see it from the visual test. Yeah, Ferrandis has closed up.
Look at Oradre here, trying to find the space to get ahead of Surra. The real battle there for the last position on the podium.
Wow, yeah, nearly a second lost by Zuratuta there. I'm not sure what went wrong. It's down to 6/10 of a second. Alberto Ferrandis is flying. Oradre now up into the podium positions as we lose a rider at turn 8, I think it is. Is that it's one of the FAO 55 riders? It could be Marco Tapia, I think, who is gone.
Borja Jimenez.
Oh, it's Borja Jimenez.
He's running
further down the field, yeah. That was at turn 8. And now look at this. Yeah. We said we need the eye confirmation, the eye test for confirmation that the gap has come down, Connor. It most certainly has. Alberto Ferrandis is about to take the lead here. It looks like Xabi Zuratuza is a sitting duck. What has gone wrong for Zuratuza?
It's bizarre with it was extending.
Look at the lean angle. Look at the lean angle of he's hanging off the bike.
Look at that speed as well coming.
Wow.
What a battle between these two.
What a shot that was from Alberto Ferrandis, hanging off the bike around that final corner.
Absolutely incredible. Like a
sitting duck here. There must be something wrong. He's a lack of grip, because it's not just Ferrandis who's close up on him. It's all the riders behind him. He had a 1.7 second advantage, so something must be going wrong aboard his American racing machine. Here we go. Both riders are just going to cruise past Zuratuza.
Well, he's still making it as difficult as he can for our championship leader.
Yeah,
but yeah, he's lost a lot of pace.
3.5 laps to go. He's going to fight. It's still worth fighting for him to pick up as many points as possible. Mongiardo gone now as well from the race. Disappointment for Francesco Mongiardo. But yeah, what is going wrong for Xabi Zuratuza here? He's hanging in there. There's no doubt about that, and he's fighting the good fight. There was no Ferrandis has gone wide. Ferrandis has gone wide, and that's opened the door for Oradre.
Oradre takes full advantage.
Oh, what a moment for Alberto Ferrandis. He's still running in the race in second position, and indeed he's going to fight back immediately, but it could have been so much worse. Hanging on for dear life, but Oradre then pushed his way through past Zuratuza and into the lead. Zuratuza, after all that, is down into third position.
Now Ferrandis leading again from Oradre. Absolutely incredible, the battle that we're seeing between these two. A real rivalry in this.
Here we go.
Class.
Look at this.
Let's take a look. Ooh,
yeah,
what a save. Yeah.
Just the rear. You could see the rear lost gripped again. Just in time for him to hold on, because it looked like he was about to high side out there. But Oradre, so we've got Surra has gone through. Zuratuza is down in 6th position.
Yeah, something's definitely happened there.
Zuratuza has dropped to 6th position there. We'll get a replay of that when we can, but it's Surra who has gone through into 3rd position. Yeah, look, Zuratuza there, he is just falling down. The best he can hope for now is just to see the checkered flag and maybe pick up a couple of points by the looks of things.
Yeah, I think that is the case, but it's going to be tremendously frustrating because he'd done the hard work. He'd got ahead at nearly a 2-second gap as well. So yeah, very, very disappointing.
Yeah, you'd imagine just must be one of the tires or something has lost all grip, because he was fighting the good fight for as long as possible.
Talk about fighting the good fight. Munoz there moving through on Morosi again, and now is in P4. So a great ride from him.
Yeah, super stuff from Danny Munoz. We're wondering a little bit where his form was as Unai Oradre shows Alberto Ferrandis a front wheel, but Ferrandis responds. We were just on Danny Munoz. We were just wondering where his form in 2025 had been. We haven't seen the best of the Spanish rider, who we frequently see on the World Championship stage, but we're seeing the best of him now. He started back in P10, I think it was, and he's up into 4th position.
Yeah, he's got half a second more or less, which has just dropped to 0.3 of a second of a gap between himself and the final podium position currently occupied by Surra. So he's still got time to make sure that he is standing on the rostrum come the end of this 9-lap race.
Just under 2.5 laps to go, and it's Alberto Ferrandis who is leading the championship leader, Unai Oradre. 14 points separate them coming into this weekend, and this will leave Oradre on top of the championship if it stays like this, but down to a 9-point advantage. Ferrandis picking up victories now for fun, it looks like, in the Moto2 European Championship. This would be his 3rd, I think, off the top of my head. But he's got plenty to deal with before he sees that checkered flag. Unai Oradre has found some excellent pace. Both riders running in
there he goes. There he goes at turn 1 on that left-hander, and this is a real battle now between these two incredible riders. On the cutback there, is Ferrandis able to get ahead? He just is as we're going into this, and there's a moment there for Oradre. What a battle.
This is what we want to see. This is what we want to see, Connor. The championship top 2 going wheel to wheel over the last lap and a half here in MotorLand Aragón. Both these riders want the title. They're going to have to earn it.
And that's going to play into the hands of Surra, who's just behind. This is not over yet, not by a long shot. As you say there, the two leaders in the championship. It's like a real Western duel, a shootout in the desert here in Aragon between these two. And Surra is hoping to take advantage. Munoz as well is catching up to this battle as well.
The podium fight is far from over, as we see Xabi Zuratuta has indeed entered pit lane. There was an issue with that. Not sure what the issue was, but we'll let you know once we find out. Oradre looking for the inside line there, but Fernández doing his best to hold on. A lap and a half to go here in MotorLand Aragón, race 1 in the European Championship for Moto2. It's Alberto Fernández, second in the championship, first in this race, against Unai Oradre, first in the championship and second in this race.
I think that might have been about to change as we head onto this back straight.
And Oradre has gotten ahead, but he's running wide indeed, and they're going side by side, but Fernández has the tighter line onto the back straight, and he's going to lead, you would imagine, coming over the line, unless Oradre has a little bit of magic up his sleeve once again. Just behind him, it's Alberto Surra, calmly riding in third position, but he's got problems mounting behind him as Dani Munoz, Alessandro Morosi, Adrian Cruces, all showing some good pace. Now, leading over the line, it is Fernández. Will we see a move into turn 1?
It's where we saw it last lap as well, and there we go. He's just on the narrower line, just ahead, but is Fernández able to keep it? He is. What incredible defensive riding there from Fernández.
Fernández hanging on here for dear life, it has to be said. Oradre putting him in under all sorts of pressure. All sorts of pressure. Where's the next move going to come? Will it come at turn 5? Sharp left-hander, hard braking. Nothing going here. Fernández still leading on this last lap. Will it come at turn 7? Another hard braking. Right-hander this time. Can Oradre squeeze his way through? He won't try it this time. Where's it going to come, Connor?
Well, it's impossible to say. Oradre made his move last time, but there's plenty of time in Sector 3 as well. You've got turns 14 and 15 where he might try and make his move as we drop down the corkscrew here. And there's a moment there for Oradre. How costly could that prove? It could give Fernández the opportunity he needs to just pull ahead those few tenths of a second that he needs to try and get that P1 here in Aragon.
Half a lap to go. What does Unai Oradre do? Does he settle for second after that scare, or does he go all out attack? Turn 12, turn 13, here we come. Nothing going there. Will it be a turn 14 or 15? I don't think he's going to be close enough. He'll try to get into the slipstream then of Fernández and get through at the final corner. We're set for a grandstand finish here. Alberto Fernández leading the championship leader, Unai Oradre. Amid the madness and the battle for the lead, Dani Munoz has taken a podium position off of Alberto Surra, but who will win? Oradre pulls out the wider line, but Fernández defensive blocks his line. It looks like Fernández has got the job done. Oradre out of the seat again. Is he gonna? He's out of the seat again.
Wow,
and Fernández is going to win the Moto2 European Championship race here in Aragon. Oradre will settle for second. Well, Dani Munoz, a brilliant ride from the Spaniard, sees him rise to third and onto the podium. Alberto Surra, Adrian Cruces 4th and 5th, Alessandro Morosi in 6th, ahead of Yeray Ruiz. Ruiz, a brilliant recovery ride from middle of the grid, but also having gone down in the opening lights out, which saw a red flag. Milan Pavelic, disappointment for the Polish rider, has to be said, Connor. He was in that fight at the beginning, but is sunk to 8th position with Johan Gimbert and Rossi Moore completing the top 10. But brilliant stuff, Alberto Fernández, another win aboard the Yamaha GV Racing.
Yeah, absolutely. Pavelic will be very disappointed. As we saw in Jerez, he just wasn't able to compete as well as he did before the red flag, before the race restart. It did look like he'd managed to get away incredibly well, but he just dropped off there, and it is Alberto Fernández who takes the win. His 3rd of the season, and he takes that flag for Pau Alsina, the Estrella Galicia team, just there providing it. Unai Oradre as well, bearing it, as is Dani Munoz, our other podium finisher. Again, a lovely homage to Pau Alsina.
Yeah, absolutely super stuff. Super tribute. Dani Munoz, look at that, from 10th on the grid up to 3rd. We said it before the race, we hadn't quite seen the best of Dani Munoz. Well, he's provided an emphatic answer, you would have to say, to us. He must have been listening, eh?
I'll prove those two wrong.
But yeah, brilliant stuff from Dani Munoz. First podium in the campaign. Alberto Fernández strikes back in the title fight. Unai Oradre put him under all sorts of pressure. but eventually settled for second, having had a couple late scares out of the seat on occasion. So celebrations can begin for Alberto Ferrandez. Victory in Estoril, a victory in Magny-Core, and now a victory in Aragon for the number 54. We will of course hear from Alberto soon as he makes his way back around towards the pit lane and into Parc Fermé. Race 2 will be coming up later in the day. Alberto Ferrandez will be aiming for the double. Unai Oradreiro may have a thing or two to say about it. Danny Munoz, a superb rider and indeed a superb ride to go to third. Missing out on the podium though was Alberto Surra on that last lap, as it was for Xabi Zotitutsa. Unfortunately, a mechanical problem that saw his front fairing hang off cost him any chance of victory. He had a 1.7 second advantage out in front, but it was quickly swallowed up from the riders behind once he had that front fairing issue. Round of applause then for Danny Munoz, picking up his first podium of the campaign. Unai Oradreiro back on the podium again, having missed out in Magny-Core, P4 and P11 in Magny-Core, ending his brilliant start to the 2025 campaign that saw P1, P2 in Estoril and a P1 victory in Jerez. Back in second place here. Loses some of his advantage in the championship. Did have that 14-point advantage coming into the weekend. That's down to 9, but it's, you would say, not a critical loss. P2 is good. A chance for him to respond to Ferrandez later in the day. But it is all about Alberto Ferrandez here in race 1 in Aragon. So big celebrations down in Parc Fermé for the GV Macrobanassi Moto2 team. Hugs all around. Another win for Alberto Ferrandez, third of the campaign. Sees him close the gap to Unai Oradreiro at the top of the standings. We will hear from Alberto shortly. Connor has made his way down to Parc Fermé. Danny Munoz celebrating a P3. Pays a touching tribute as well for some of his late colleagues. Celebrations for Danny Munoz. First podium of the campaign. Gets the monkey off of his back, and we'll see him rise up the championship standings. So up to 99 points then for Alberto Ferrandez in the championship. Hugely talented rider who we're sure has caught the eye of many of the scouts and teams on the biggest stage of them all in the World Championship. And performances like this will only help increase his stock. So check of some of the key moments. He was victorious, but it could have been oh so much worse for Alberto Ferrandez, as he had a massive moment going down the reverse corkscrew. He fought back almost immediately though. Look at that riding style as well, hanging off of his bike. Absolute joy to watch. Knee to the ground, almost has the elbow down on the ground as well. Absolutely sensational riding style. And then from there, once he had regained the lead, Unai Oradreiro put him under all sorts of pressure, but Oradreiro had a moment or two himself in the latter stages, and Ferrandez managed to hammer home that slight advantage he had and open up a gap around the final corner to take victory here at MotorLand. So we see riders are debriefing their teams down below as the celebrations continue for Ferrandez. And it is wonderful to see that tributes are being paid to late Pau Alsina across the classes today. Plenty of fans in attendance this weekend and all across the weekend too, which is fantastic to see in the junior categories here. So, without much further ado, I believe Alberto is now down with Connor, and we can hear from our race 1 winner in Aragon.
That's right, Chris. I am with Alberto Ferrandez after an incredible race. What a battle with Unai Aradre there as well. How does it feel to get your 3rd win this season?
Yeah, so I'm really happy. Yes, I have a very good battle with Aradre, and yes, I'm really happy. We do a very good start. And yes, I fight a little bit with the top guys. And yes, I take the first position. I try to push, but it was really hard because the tires have a very big drop. But yes, well, I'm really happy for this first race, and let's go.
Y si nos lo puedes explicar en castellano también.
Bueno, la verdad es que ha sido una carrera muy difícil. Ha sido una carrera muy difícil porque he hecho una muy buena salida, pero he estado peleando ahí delante con los chicos de cabeza y los neumáticos han tenido un drop muy grande. Pero bueno, he cogido la primera posición, he intentado tirar ahí a tope, a ver si me daba para llegar a meta primero, y bueno, así ha sido. Después de unas cuantas salvadas, de unos cuantos movimientos, de unos cuantos de problemas, hemos podido hacernos con la victoria, así que a por la siguiente.
Congratulations. Great ride.
Alberto Surra started on pole position in race 1 here at MotorLand Aragón, while Milan Pavlic fired his way into 2nd ahead of Xabi Zuratuza at lights out. A red flag was waved though, after Yeroy Ruiz and Harrison Vaught were caught up in a crash. Red flag brought out as a bike was on track, so we had a restarted race. And lights out was basically a carbon copy of what happened first time round. Surra took the whole shot, Pavlic took 2nd ahead of Zuratuza. Zuratuza managed to fight back against his Polish counterpart. So it was American Racing 1-2, with Pavlic then interrupting that 1-2, or doing his best to interrupt it. But eventually Surra was leading and Zuratuza dispatched the challenge of Pavlic. Alberto Ferrandez and Unai Aradre came to the fore. Pavlic and Aradre having a moment together that saw Pavlic stand up, while you see Alessandro Morosi and Danny Munoz also showing some good pace and getting involved in the podium battle. Alberto Ferrandez then had moved into 2nd position behind Xabi Zuratuza, as Unai Aradre moved into 3rd position. Francesco Mongiardo retired from the race. Alberto Ferrandez seized the lead but almost crashed out after a big moment, but fought back to once again take the initiative ahead of Unai Aradre, while Danny Munoz was on the charge further back, getting past Alessandro Morosi at first. Unai Aradre once again challenging for the lead, as we see Xabi Zuratuza, the one-time race leader. What went wrong for him? His front fairing having an issue. Alberto Ferrandez leading again over Unai Aradre, and that's how it stayed. Ferrandez beating Aradre, his championship rival, while Danny Munoz made a last lap move on Alberto Surra to take the final podium position.
Macro Bonsai Moto2 es Rafael. Bienvenido, Rafael García.
So Spanish lockout of the podium on home soil for Ferrandez, Aradre and Munoz.
Grande desde Sevilla, desde Andalucía, Dani Muñoz del equipo Swiss Superbike Academy Forward.
For the first time in 2025, we do see Danny Munoz on the podium in the Moto2 European Championship. you would imagine comes as a huge relief for a rider that was thought of as one of the lead contenders coming into the season. Unai Oradre and Ferrandez were always thought of as contenders, and they are indeed doing the front running in 2025, with Oradre having a 9-point advantage now over Alberto Ferrandez. Mr. Jorge Benades, MotorLand's general manager, handing out the first set of prizes to the team representative from the Macro Benassi Moto2 team.
Felicita y entrega el premio al tercer clasificado.
Dani Munoz finally gets his hands on that first trophy of the year.
Señor Jean-Marc Denis, como vicepresidente de la FIM Europe, es el encargado de dar este trofeo.
And podium regular Mr. Jean-Marc Desnus, the vice president of the FIM Europe, is back in action, handing out the prize, the P2, to Unai Oradre. And he will also hand out the prize to Alberto Ferrandez as we get ready to hear the Spanish national anthem.
Enhorabuena. En honor al vencedor vamos a escuchar el himno de España.
The Spanish national anthem then rings out around MotorLand Aragón. 3 Spanish riders supreme here in the heart of Spain. Ferrandez, Oradre and Munoz. Here in Aragon, a fantastic ride from those two as we prepare to go to the standings. But what a ride from Alberto Ferrandez, who is our race 1 winner. There we can see it. He was followed by Unai Oradre. Great battles between those two. And third, Daniel Munoz. Behind them, unfortunate Alberto Surra. In 5th, Adrian Cruzes. What a ride from him. Alessandro Morosi in 6th. Uri Ruiz in 7th. Milan Pavelic in 8th. And Johan Gimbert in 9th. Moore in 10th, Volpi in 11th, Tapia 12th, in P13 Marcos Ludenia on his debut, in 14th Kozavan, 15th Palomera, Lolly in 16th and Uriostegi in 17th. Watley 18th, Yambias 19th, Alcubaisi in 20th, Emmanuel in 21st, Eisenkorb in 22nd and Kim in 23rd, with Zurtuza and Jimenez both out. As well as Felon, Mongiaro, Gutierrez and Voigt. So this is the Riders' Championship after race 1 in the Moto2 European Championship. Oradre still leads. His lead, though, cut to just 9 points. Ferrandez following, Surra and Pavelic behind. In 5th, Zurtuth, who drops 1 position. Munoz goes up 1 to 6th. Mongiaro in 7th. Ruiz in 8th. And Alessandro Morosi in 9th. In 10th, Yambias. Eric Fernandez is now in 11th. Gimbert 12th. Cruzes up 4 positions to 13th. Tapia 14th. Roberto Garcia 15th. Rossi Attila Moore 16th. Gutierrez down 2 positions to 17th. Watley 18th, Kozavan 19th, Felon 20th, Palomera 21st, Volpi up 4 positions to 22nd, Jimenez down to 23rd, Ludenia up 3 positions on his debut to 24th, Harrison Voigt drops down to 25th after that early crash. Lolly 26th and Somariva 27th to round off the Riders' Championship so far after race 1 here in MotorLand Aragón.
So, race 1 of MotorLand Aragon's Moto2 European Championship belongs to Alberto Ferrandez, with Unai Oradre recovering from that massive wheelie off the line, as we see in the slow motion, to take P2 and preserve a championship lead, although it has been cut to 9 points. But it is all about Alberto Ferrandez in race 1. Race 2 comes up later in the day, and if it's anything like race 1, you won't want to miss it after that epic battle. We'll be back for the European Talent Cup at 1 p.m. Until then, enjoy some of the best images from that Moto2 race.